What's good? What's good? I'm back with another video. So we breaking this down. You see what it says. Superman box office revenue said to have been counteracted by WB's TV losses. So here's the thing: the movie stuff for Warner Brothers did well, good. Superman, Sinners, The Conjuring, The Last Rest, all those movies and stuff did very well. You know, the Minecraft, all that stuff. Some stuff they got from F1, it all did well. But the problem was that was being offset by the poor stuff coming from the cable. So you'll see why Zavlov's wanted to split this. So I'm not gonna keep you a lot of time. Just get to the gist of everything. So basically, you know, the movie stuff is doing well, but the cable stuff, for whatever reasons, is falling behind. And so even they had a good run at the movies, that had to sort of like offset some of the day. Even with all that doing very well, Warner Brothers theatrical stuff doing very well, they still end up losing money like 148. Was it 100? Yeah, it was 148 million. So as you see, all right. So look, Warner Brothers Discovery. So I'm gonna highlight this for you. Warner Brothers Discovery reported a 48 million loss in the third quarter of the year. The company is said to have received a boost in revenue from look for the movies of 74% through the performance of Superman Weapons, The Conjuring, Last Rites, and as Ferrari reports, F1, which while having premiered in the second quarter of the year, still generated revenue that carried over into quarter number three. So, but as they say, unfortunately, as mentioned, the money brought in by those features was offset by company losses. So that's not on the theater side. So that's why you see it would make more sense. And point to reason why it would make more sense. Let me as you see, let me go right here. You see to why it led to that. You see it from the TV stuff side of things, right? It's not necessarily the streaming aspect, but from the TV side of it, like, and stuff, you see what's happening. So if, just imagine if they was merged. So okay, so here we're saying like one entity will be called. Let's talk about how the merger would go. One entity would be called Discovery Global, which would carry WB's television networks like TNT, TBS, CNN. Okay, and the other entity would be Warner Brothers, which would be the studios, HBO Max, all that stuff. DC Studios, DC Comics, the gaming division, I believe, as well. If I'm not mistaken, but definitely the Warner Brothers DC, the Warner Brothers Studios, all that stuff, right? So per now, okay, so now here's the thing: why they making a case for hold up. So hold up. Per variety, WB has been letting investors know it wants to restructure the company, and you can see from the TV losses offset projected revenue. So that's a crutch, right? That's really no pun intended. That's really the kryptonite to the theatrical stuff. Is because what they're doing, they're being hampered by what they profits they make. That's been you know the try to lessen the blow from the TV stuff. Remember, if they did all this really good stuff, theatrical stuff, and still amounted to 148 million loss, imagine if they did really bad, how much the loss would have been. So that's telling you something. So okay, so and here's what they're talking about. Warner Brothers Discovery is evaluating a broad range of strategic options, including proceeding with the planned separation and potential transaction for the entire company or separate transactions for the Warner Brothers and or Discovery Global business. I'm gonna just say this. Definitely split it in two. Discover. I would try to like see what you could get for Discovery Global, whatever you could get for that, and then and see if you still want to sell off the but like I always say this though, once they split into two companies, they gonna get like a boatload of offers for Warner Brothers. Period. Now I would want them to make the right decision for Warner Brothers to keep Warner Brothers going afloat. I would love to see Warner Brothers operate as a separate entity. Say if Comcast gets them, Comcast will have two separate movie studios, Universal and Warner Brothers. I want Warner Brothers to operate as a independent studio, all that stuff, right? Like that. So yeah. So let me one more. Let me go back down one more for y'all. Okay. Okay, hold on. This is the key part right here. Hold up. No, that's not okay. I must have missed something. Hold up. No, hold on for a minute. Like, where are we at? So I'm gonna say this. So you seen the law store, right? That was happening. That would be if they were split. That would been a tribute to like Discovery Global, right? So you see like the two Warner Brothers itself, they're not respond they're not losing no money. It's the cable network side is losing the money and stuff. That's what's losing the money. So that you see how now with this report, now this is from stockholders, right? So they're seeing how they lost money. Where is that coming from? So they know the leak where it's coming from. So that's why Zaxxon it's important to split them into two so you can see because one's being profitable really, and the other one is not really. So what's causing like lose 148 million, right? And that's what the movie's doing good. So like I said, I'm gonna say it again. All the good the theatrical stuff did, it was all set from the TV stuff. So and we look at the companies also said it's considered alternative stuff. So yeah, that's why the split would be. Oh, okay, hold on, wait a minute, hold up. Okay, here we go. This is what I want to read to you. All right, here we go. So one entity would be called. Okay, so I read that right. Oh, that okay. So look, in this case, the Warner Brother of Discovery Brands report currently reported as suffering significant losses are those that will fall under the umbrella of Discovery Global. And so this is why the split would make sense from that point, because like it's just that one brand that's really caused you to lose money and stuff, right? That's that one brand. The theatrical stuff is fine. So far as Warner Brothers stuff, good. So that's why you split those two companies. If you could sell off some of these stuff, whatever, I believe they'd be in a much better spot. Because remember, Zav he remembered when they had sold for 100 million, AT&T had bought for 100 million. They brought the value down so bad. So now Zala's bringing the value up. So basically, they probably could sell just a Warner Brothers itself probably close to 90 million. Probably it would go for that. It would go for like a really high number. Remember, and then when it got sold, I think it was discovered, it was like 40 something billion. Not 90 million, I mean 90 billion rather, right? So so like that, so he brought the value back up for Warner Brothers. So, but what's bringing them down is the Discovery Global portion will be with the CNN, the TNT. No one don't really care about this. It's all about like far as getting your content and news, streaming and stuff like that, right? The cable networks watching getting like the cable TV, it's not as big as it used to be. You have way more options now, and you see that though. Like far as the streaming stuff, that's fine with what it's doing with the movies, all that stuff. It's just the TV, live TV stuff is sort of suffering and stuff as you see because more people is into streaming more stuff now than opposed to just getting like a live cable and stuff like that, you know. And so remember what happened with Blockbuster, right? Don't get left behind. So well, Zabla, he's a smart businessman. He knows what he's doing. Splitting the companies in two, and now doing that. But like I said, one thing you cannot lie to as the stockholders, right? Because you have to, because they'll be against the law to do that. Because you have to report what's making the money, what's causing them to lose the money, all that. So we know the theater stuff, right? The movies business is doing well for like the one of it was less the other TV stuff, which that would fall if they did a restructure, it'll fall under Discovery Global, right? So we see that though. And so when people say, "Hey, well, Superman cost them money," no, they show you who cost them money. They show you that who cost them money. It wasn't a movie side like that. It definitely wasn't Superman or those movies like The Conjuring rights or Weapons. It wasn't that. So we know we identify who costs like the Warner Brothers Discovery money. It was the live TV, like the TV network stuff. That's what it is. The movie stuff, the studios, they're fine, they're good. They might have had a few stinkers, right? But for the most part, the movies division, theatrical stuff, has been successful for Warner Brothers, and obviously Superman, he set the tone in the summer movies, like at least for the DC studios is concerned. He set the tone, and remember also Peacemaker charted on Nielsen, right? So also, and same thing with excuse me, I'm back rambling, excuse me, rambling a little bit. But Superman, it also charted as well when it went to streaming as well and stuff. So yeah, so there you have it. We know what's going to happen, and I was saying it's going to be a restructure. It's going to be like two separate companies. And now, also remember this though: Discovery Global will take the majority of that debt with them. You know, they take a majority of the debt. So whatever debt that Warner Brothers had when they restructured into the two companies, it's not going to be a whole lot of debt. So what excuse me, what they should do, like Universal would be probably a good fit. Only if they allow Warner Brothers to operate as independent as if they are, right? Stuff like that. So other than that, I don't know. But one thing I do know, like the Discovery Global portion of it is the one that's costing them money. And Sherry Hill's going to see that. Wait a minute. So this portion. So if anything, they should try to get rid of that because that's the one that's associated with the debt. Spin that company off and let Warner Brothers, I believe, won't have as nearly as much as debt as the Discovery portion of it. And so you'll try to find the best place for the stockholders. Even if they do decide, what if they decide, to hold on to it though, right? And just sell off the global Discovery Global, because like you could sell a CNN to like a news station, whoever, right? And just like I would just like try to sell that off, like the CNN off, whatever, and just stick with the just stick with Warner Brothers with the movies and the theatrical stuff and the streaming, and that's it. And maybe you don't sell right away, but if you do sell to Warner Brothers, right? That's where you'll get the boatload of your money from that. But definitely, Discovery Global portion has to go. You see, it's dragging down the movies though, right? Because like I said, it still lost 148 million, even with the strong showing for the movies. Like I said, so just imagine if the movies didn't have a strong showing. Maybe it probably would have been possibly almost half a billion in loss, right? Just imagine that. So thank God for Superman and those other movies that set the tone, for him. And so that's all I want to say. When people run around these grifter sites, run around saying Superman it costs DC money. No, I don't believe it costs him money because I'm looking at what the quarterly earnings, what he reports to the stockholders, and off the back, it would just show that Superman lost some money. Superman was spoke in the light of them earning money. Really, if you really look at that, and it'll let you know who cost them money, where they come from. And like I said, it didn't come from Superman. It didn't come necessarily from the movie division part. You see where all that stuff came from. So yeah, that's all I want to bring to y'all. Let y'all know, like always follow the money and stuff. So the quarter reports, that's going to tell you everything, like who's doing what. And you can't, smoke and mirrors with that. It's going to let you know because you cannot lie to stockholders. So that's all I want to say. So we'll see how this plays out. Where NBC, where Comcast try to get to Warner Brothers, definitely they got to split into two companies because only one is doing all the heavy lifting, and the other one is sort of costing to be in the red and the money and stuff like. So yeah, they definitely got to clean that up. So if anything, I'll try to sell the Discovery Global first because you could always sell to Warner Brothers. That's gonna have like a high value. So that's all I wanted to say. I want to bring to your attention. I'm out here. I'll be back with the next one. I know I haven't been as active, but I'm gonna get to it more. So be more consistent. I appreciate all the love and support. I'm out of here. One.